pursuit of higher education is what initially brought this foursome together, but their vocal talent would be what ultimately took their lives to new heights. Right from the start, they captivated every audience they performed in front of, and soon after, dominated the music charts. Then, one member left, shortly followed by another, leaving the last two standing to wonder if this was truly the end. Let's find out what happened to American 90s R&B group, Shai. The original members of Shai, Carl Martin, Mark Gaye, Darnell Van Rensselaer, and Garfield Bright, formed the group on the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C. in the early 90s. Their name is Egyptian, meaning the personification of destiny in the male human form. It was common for many groups as well as solo artists from their era to do a lot of talent shows and establish a local following before making it big. Shai only had to do one. At an Apollo-esque variety show on Howard's campus, they performed the song that would become their first career hit. They signed a record deal shortly after. It was meant to be since Garfield's trajectory at school went in a different direction from his close friend and freshman year roommate Darnell. Darnell joined a fraternity, as well as Carl and Mark, while Garfield joined the Nation of Islam. So they ran in very different circles, but still remained friends. Darnell, Carl, and Mark enjoyed singing and would regularly rehearse with a couple of other students. Garfield didn't have any grand aspirations to pursue music for a living, and he wasn't even initially a part of the group. However, just before that fateful performance, a couple of members dropped out. Darnell already knew Garfield had vocal talent, since he would hang out with the group from time to time and became familiar with their material. So he asked Garfield to join him, Mark, and Carl, and the rest is history. Their debut single and the song that blew away the Howard crowd, called If I Ever Fall in Love, dropped in September 1992. It peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and remained there for many weeks. The only reason it wasn't able to capture the top spot was because Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You had a vice grip on it. It did, however, make it to number 1 on the R&B chart. That song also helped Shai to become seen as more of a pop crossover group. Where other similar acts out at the time, such as Jodeci, were well known and loved in mostly urban communities, Shai cultivated many fans on both the mainstream and urban sides. Their debut album of the same name was released 3 months later. Comforter, the second single, also did well on the charts. It reached the top 10 on the Hot 100 and top 5 on the R&B chart. An EP mostly containing unreleased material, remixes, and live performances of tracks from their debut album came out 1 year later. It was also at this time that Garfield and lead singer Coco from R&B group SWV began dating. That explains why he's seen making a cameo in the music video for their 1993 hit song, Weak. In 1994, the group scored the song The Place Where You Belong off the soundtrack for the action comedy film Beverly Hills Cop 3. The track would end up being Shai's final top 40 hit. Then, they got caught up in some illegal drama that could have ruined everything. Garfield, Carl, and Darnell were arrested in Washington, D.C. just before performing at Howard's homecoming. The charges ranged from carrying an illegal firearm to intent to sell. The following year, their second studio album titled Blackface was released. A couple of singles were put out, but they didn't make as much of an impact as they could have, since the label made a very odd decision to put the album out first. Several years would pass before any new music would be heard from the former quartet that was now a trio. Carl Martin would leave the group in 1995 to focus on the songwriting and production aspect of the business. His departure was not at all a surprise. He had always wanted to do more behind-the-scenes work than be front and center on stage. Also around this time, internal issues with their record label were coming to the surface. Many of the people that worked on their first album were fired, and a whole new team was brought in when work on their second album began, only for that same pattern of firing and hiring to repeat once again. The writing was on the wall, and the group knew it was time to move on. Destiny, Shai's third album, would be released in February 1999. Sadly, no one paid it any mind. Then, Mark would be the next member to exit the group. He went on to marry his love interest featured in Shai's music video for their song Baby I'm Yours, filmed on Howard University's campus. He then became a licensed realtor and currently works in the Los Angeles area. There's not much news on what Carl's been up to since he left the group in '95, and he hasn't made any waves in the industry. One fun fact is that he's now Beyoncé's step-cousin, after Beyoncé's mother Tina married Richard Lawson, Carl's uncle. Years later, Garfield would attribute the former member's departure from the group to simply being a natural part of life as people grow in different directions over time. However, in the past, without naming any names, he was quoted as saying, "One dude thought he would be the man. He allowed the industry to come between us. Those people don't really have the talent. That's why they do that. It's almost like a manual. It's the same story. Every group has one guy who's that." Garfield and Darnell would continue on for several years as a duo. They toured and tried to bring fans the traditional Shai sound, or as close to it as they could. They did continue to release albums of mainly unfinished songs that they were just playing around with, just so fans could have something to chew on. Yet the two men knew that they couldn't deny that their harmony would greatly benefit from bringing more people into the mix. They tried out a couple of people before finally settling on the lineup that still stands today. New members Dwayne Jones and George Spencer III were already familiar with Shai since their early days when they were just starting out and hustling to make it. Dwayne was previously a member of two R&B groups by the names of Riff and Men of Vision. George, or G-Fly, was also a part of Men of Vision along with Dwayne. They found themselves available and ready for something new after leaving their respective groups and were welcomed with open arms by Garfield and Darnell. In 2018, Shai would return with their first album in a decade, titled Musically Yours. It includes alternate takes on their past hits, If I Ever Fall in Love, Comforter, and Baby I'm Yours. During the group's downtime years ago, Garfield, who's always been an educator, went into teaching at the high school and college level in California. Then he became the student and went on to receive both master's and PhD degrees, and is now a professor at Georgia State University. After the completion of his studies, he also began writing a nonfiction book titled Lotus 3013, which he said will be released in 2021. Garfield, along with groupmate Darnell, have also formed their own record label, Shiroglyphics Entertainment, LLC. Their plan is to release the group's own music on the label, nurture the careers of the next generation, and produce educational as well as entertaining artistic projects. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you won't miss any future videos. See you next time!